Hey everybody, the purpose of this video is to look at different ways you can build lists in Excel, and I hope we can get a rough idea of some of the pros and cons of each method. So this first method I call grab and drag. It's pretty easy and quick, and so if you just type a 1 in this box right here and the 2 right there, all you have to do is highlight both. So the way that you highlight is you just click and hold, and then you drag down, and then you let go. You click and highlight both, and then go ahead and grab this box in the lower right corner, and then drag that down. When you let go, Excel is going to try and build the list that it thinks you want to build. So if you're just trying to get a quick list of numbers, this is a really easy way to do that. I want you to notice if we make a change to this list, like type the letter A, then all of a sudden it doesn't make any changes in the rest of the list. Also, if I had highlighted the 1 in the A, drag that down, Excel is going to try to make a prediction about what I wanted to do. So in this case, it thinks that I wanted to type 1, then A, then 2, then A, and so on. So sometimes it works the way you want it to work, and that's good enough. You can make your list, and sometimes it has some weird side effects that may not work the way you want. So that brings us to method 2, and that's working with a formula. So in this case, I want the next box to say 2, just like it did in method 1, but I'm going to tell it to say 2 by typing in a formula. So it's going to equal whatever the previous box says, and then plus 1. And now it says 2. This time I don't want to highlight both cells, I just want to highlight the one cell that has the formula, click and drag it down. This process of dragging it down is called filling down. So we just filled down the formula, and it produced the same list, 1 through 7. At this point I wanted to talk about one of the advantages of building a list with a formula, and that is, at a later time, you can come in here and change that starting number, and the entire list will change. But back over here, if I change the starting number to a 5, nothing changes. Alrighty. Now this third situation is something that I call building a list based on some controls. So let's say we are starting at age 20 and we invest a starting amount of, I don't know, $1,000, and let's say we find a nice, savings account that has a 3% interest rate. So I'm going to type 0.03. Let's see, I'd like this to look like a dollar amount. So one of the easiest ways to do that is up here, you've got a lot of different options, and one of the options shows a dollar symbol. So if I click that, it's going to make this look like a dollar amount. So that looks the way that I want. And I may need to change this amount format also. So I'm going to click on the empty box, click on the dollar symbol, and it changes it. So when a number starts appearing in there, it's going to have that dollar symbol, and it's going to look like money. So let's see. I could type 1,000 if I want. Now, did you notice on my screen how it shows a bunch of number symbols? And that's just because the column is not wide enough. So if you go up to the top here and you move your mouse in between the two columns, it changes. You can click and hold on that and make it wider. wide as you want. Another way you can do it is you can double click on that border between column D and F. If you double click, usually it just widens it to the item that is the widest. So when I was first doing this, I was thinking like, whoa, that made that really wide. And then I remembered at the top of the page, I think I have these words typed in up here, and these words are really wide. So I'm not going to use the double click to control the width of the cell this time. I'm just going to click and drag it. And I think that's good enough. Now remember earlier I typed in 1,000, and we just got done building a list using a formula, and I told you how if you type the number in yourself, it's not going to change when you change this other number. So let's say we decide, oh no, we want to have a starting amount of 1,500. This one's not going to change with it. So we need to use a formula instead. And tell this list, no, this first box is going to equal the starting amount box. On the left-hand side, I really just want a bunch of age numbers. So I'm going to say this is equal to the previous one plus 1. And that should produce a nice list of age numbers for me. And over here, all I really want to do is take the previous amount and multiply it by 1 plus my interest rate. It's going to give me a new amount. Now if I drag this down, something strange starts to happen. It's not quite growing the way that I wanted. So if you double click, you can see that this is using the cell above, but now it's using this pink cell of 1,000. And if I exit out of there and double click on this, it's using the cell above, but now it's using this pink cell, which is treating as the number 0 because it's empty. And I really want to lock in on the interest rate. So next to the number 19, I'm going to put a dollar symbol. And what that's going to do is lock it in on 19. So as I scroll and as I fill down the cells, all of those cells are going to be using the number E19. They're going to use that cell. And notice how these are not set to dollars yet, so I'm going to go ahead and click up here. Makes them look a little nicer if they look like money. And this last thing I want to show you is this. You can highlight both of the cells and you can begin dragging it down. And when you do, both formulas are going to drag down with it. So at this point, you can really drag this down really far. Oh, look at that. We could make this list go down as far as we want. So down here, we've got an idea. Let's try to say the first column should begin with whatever the starting number is, and the first numbers are going to grow. Looks like I got a typo here, so it's going to be growing according to the increment in the purple box. Each number in the second column is going to be one more than the square of the number to the left. So let's see. My starting value, so equals this box here. And then it says each number in the second column should be one more than the square of the number to the left. So the output is going to be equals this number squared and then plus So there it is. If I have a 2, that's a 5. Now going back here, basically we're kind of building a table that you might get from a graphing calculator, for example. So I want these numbers not to grow by 1, 2, 3, 4. I want them to grow by whatever I choose the increment to be. So I'm going to say this next cell is equal to the previous one plus that increment. Now remember, you have to go back in and type a dollar symbol. So now when I drag this down, these numbers are going to grow by that increment. And if I drag this formula down, I think it's going to work the way that I want. You can always double check by double clicking on one of them, and it shows you, yep, it's using this cell squared and then adding 1. So that concludes the growing list video, and basically just decide whatever method you want for building a list depending on your situation. If you just need a quick list, use method 1, grab and drag. If you need a list that you can modify at a later time, I'd recommend you consider building a formula. And I showed you a couple different ways that you can build using formulas in this video. Alright, thanks.